I stood in my childhood living room staring at my father as he delivered his ultimatum. My younger sister Madison sat on the couch behind him, her eyes still wet from crying. My work laptop lay broken on the coffee table between us. Dad crossed his arms and said I needed to apologize to her before I could be part of this family again. Something inside me went quiet. All the years of being second best, all the times my achievements meant nothing, while her smallest wins were celebrated, all of it suddenly made perfect sense. I looked at him and said two words that would change everything. All right, before I tell you how two simple words changed everything, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story about family betrayal and the power of walking away is just getting started. Trust me, you will want to see how this unfolds. My name is Tyler and I am 28 years old. I work as a software engineer for a tech company in Seattle. My sister Madison is 24. Growing up, we were a family of 4: Mom, Dad, Madison, and me. But when I was 15 and Madison was 11, Mom died in a car accident. Everything changed after that. Dad threw himself into his business. He owned a successful consulting firm and worked long hours. But when he came home, all his attention went to Madison. I understood it at first. She was younger. She had lost Mom at a more vulnerable age. I tried to be the strong one, the independent one. I thought if I just proved I could handle things on my own, Dad would eventually see me too. When I was 16, I got accepted to the University of Washington with a full academic scholarship. It was a huge deal. I had worked incredibly hard maintaining a 4.0 grade point average, while also doing volunteer work and leading the robotics club. I remember walking into the kitchen with the acceptance letter in my hand, my heart pounding with excitement. Dad was making coffee. I said I had something to tell him. He looked up from his phone and said, "What is it?" I handed him the letter. He read it, nodded, and said, "Good job, Tyler." Then he went back to his phone. 1 week later, Madison won 3rd place in a local art competition. It was a nice achievement, do not get me wrong, but Dad threw a party. He invited aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors. He hung her artwork all over the house. He posted about it on social media for days. I sat in my room that night and told myself it was fine. She needed the encouragement. I was already self-motivated. When I was 19 and in college, I needed a laptop for my engineering classes. My old one had finally died completely. I asked Dad if he could help me buy a used one. Nothing fancy, just something functional. The total would have been around $700. He told me I needed to learn financial responsibility and that working a part-time job would teach me valuable lessons about money. I said okay, and picked up extra shifts at the campus library. 2 months later, Madison decided she wanted to go backpacking through Europe with her friends. The trip cost $5,000. Dad agreed immediately. He said she needed to explore the world and find herself. When I pointed out the difference in how he treated our requests, he got angry. He said I was being petty, and that Madison's emotional well-being was fragile after losing Mom. I stopped asking him for anything after that. At 22, I graduated with honors. Top 5% of my class. I had already secured a job at a great company. The graduation ceremony was on a Saturday afternoon. Dad said he had an important meeting and could not make it. I walked across that stage and accepted my diploma with no family in the audience. My roommate's parents cheered for me instead. That same year, Dad did not miss a single one of Madison's piano recitals. Not one. When I turned 25, I got promoted to senior engineer. It came with a significant raise and more responsibility. I was proud of myself. I called Dad to tell him. He answered while driving. I could hear the radio in the background. I told him about the promotion. He said, "That is great, Tyler. Dad is proud of you." Then, before I could say anything else, he asked if I had talked to Madison lately because she had just broken up with her boyfriend and was really upset. The conversation lasted 90 seconds total. 45 of those seconds were about Madison. I moved out when I was 22, right after graduation. I found a small studio apartment across town. It was not much, but it was mine. I paid my own rent, bought my own furniture, handled my own bills. I built a life separate from that house, where I always felt invisible. But I still tried to maintain a relationship with my family. I visited once a month, called on birthdays and holidays. Part of me kept hoping that one day Dad would wake up and see me. Really see me. Madison still lived at home. She was 24 now, and had not held a steady job for more than a few months at a time. She would get excited about something, a new hobby or interest, and Dad would fund it completely. Photography, yoga instructor certification, starting an online boutique. Nothing ever lasted. Dad never pushed her to be independent the way he had pushed me. She had her own room, her own car that Dad paid, for no rent, no responsibilities. I tried not to be bitter about it. I told myself that my independence had made me stronger, more capable. And it had. I had a good career, good friends, a life I had built with my own two hands. But deep down there was always this question: why was not I enough? What had I done to deserve being treated like I mattered less? Then came the weekend that changed everything. I had a huge presentation scheduled for Monday morning, a potential client worth millions to the company. I had been working on this pitch for 3 months. The presentation was on my work laptop, which I kept in a protective case in my old bedroom at Dad's house. I had left it there the previous weekend by accident and had not had time to drive back and get it during the week. It was password protected, and I had texted both Dad and Madison telling them not to touch it. I planned to drive over Saturday morning, grab the laptop, and spend the weekend doing final preparations. The presentation had to be perfect. My boss was counting on me. This could determine whether I got promoted to lead engineer. Everything was riding on this. I pulled into the driveway at 9:30 on Saturday morning. The house looked the same, as always. Big colonial-style white exterior, perfectly maintained lawn. Dad had bought it when his business took off back when Mom was still alive. I let myself in with my key. The house was quiet. I figured Madison was probably still asleep. She rarely woke before noon on weekends. Dad was usually up early, but I did not see him downstairs. I headed straight up to my old room. The door was closed. I opened it and immediately felt my stomach drop. My laptop was not in its case. The protective sleeve I had left it in was unzipped and empty on my desk. I looked around frantically. Then I saw it. The laptop was on the floor next to the bed screen facing down. I picked it up with shaking hands. The screen had a spiderweb crack spreading from the bottom right corner. I tried to turn it on. The power light flickered, erratically flashing orange instead of the steady white it should be. The screen stayed black. It would not boot up. I felt panic rising in my chest. 48 hours until the most important presentation of my career, and my laptop was destroyed. I had a backup of the file from 3 days ago, but I had added crucial updates since then. Charts, data analysis, revised talking points. All of it was on this dead machine. I practically ran down the stairs. Madison was in the living room, sprawled on the couch, watching some reality show on TV. She had a bowl of cereal balanced on her stomach. I walked in front of the TV. "Did you touch my laptop?" She looked up at me with wide eyes. "What? No. Why would I?" I held up the broken laptop. This was in my room, in its case. Now the screen is shattered, and it will not turn on. Madison sat up, and the cereal bowl nearly tipped over. She caught it and set it on the coffee table. "Maybe you dropped it yourself and forgot," she said. "I was not even here this week, Madison. I specifically told you and Dad not to touch it. It is a work computer. There is important information on it." She crossed her arms. "Well, I did not touch it. Maybe Dad moved it or something. The laptop was inside a closed case, inside a closed room. It did not just fall and crack itself." Her expression shifted. Her eyes got a little harder. "Why are you always accusing me of things? You have never liked me, Tyler. Ever since Mom died, you have treated me like I am some kind of burden." I stared at her, genuinely shocked. "That is not true, and you know it. I just need to know what happened to my laptop. This is serious, Madison." That is when Dad appeared in the doorway. He must have been in his home office. "What is going on here?" His voice had that edge to it, the one that meant he was already taking a side, and it was not mine. I turned to him. "Dad, my work laptop is broken. The screen is cracked and it will not start. I left it in my room in its protective case. Someone took it out and damaged it." Dad looked at Madison. "Maddie, did you touch his computer?" Madison's eyes immediately filled with tears. This was her specialty, the waterworks. It had worked on Dad for years. I just wanted to use it for a second because mine was charging. I was being really careful. But then I tripped over the charging cable and it fell. "I am so sorry, Tyler. I did not mean to." She buried her face in her hands and started crying. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "You broke my work laptop. Do you know how serious this is? I have a presentation on Monday that could determine my entire future at the company." Dad held up his hand. "It was an accident, Tyler. An accident. I specifically told everyone not to touch it." She went into my room, took it out of the protective case, and used it without permission. "None of that was an accident." Madison sobbed harder. I said, "I am sorry. What more do you want from me? I want you to take responsibility. That laptop is worth $2,000. The data on it is worth way more. My entire project is on there. I need you to help me fix this. Pay for data recovery or a repair or something." Dad's face was turning red now. "Enough. It is just a computer. Your company can replace it. Just a computer, Dad. This is my career. This is not some hobby I picked up last month. This is my job. The job I have worked for years to build." And she destroyed company property because she could not wait for her own laptop to charge. "You are being dramatic," Dad said. "These things happen." Madison apologized. "What more do you want?" I looked between them. Madison was peeking at me through her fingers, and I swear I saw the tiniest smirk on her face. Dad stood there with his arms crossed already, deciding I was the problem. And suddenly years of this exact dynamic crashed over me. Every time Madison messed up and I got blamed for being too harsh. Every time my needs were dismissed as less important. Every time I was expected to be the mature one, the understanding one, the one who sacrificed. "This is not about the computer," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "This is about respect." She went into my room without asking, used my work equipment after I specifically said not to, and broke it. She needs to apologize and help fix this. A real apology. Not just "sorry you are mad." "She already apologized," Dad said. "What more do you want?" "At least an offer to help pay for repairs or data recovery," I said. Some acknowledgement that actions have consequences. Madison's crying got louder. "I do not have that kind of money. You know I am between jobs right now." "Between jobs, Madison. You have not had a steady job in 2 years. You have had every opportunity handed to you, and you quit everything after 2 months. Dad stepped toward me. "Do not talk to your sister like that," something inside me snapped. "Why? Why do you always defend her? She messed up. For once, can you just hold her accountable?" Memories flooded my mind. Being 16 and having my scholarship ignored. Being 19 and denied help for a laptop while she got $5,000 for a vacation. Graduating college with no one there. Every birthday, where my gift was an afterthought, while hers was an event. Every accomplishment I had that was met with a nod, while her smallest wins were celebrated for weeks. I realized I was shaking, not from anger, from the weight of understanding. This would never change. No matter what I did, no matter how successful I became, no matter how much I proved myself, I would never be the child he prioritized. I would never be enough in his eyes to deserve the same love and attention he gave her so freely. Dad's voice cut through my thoughts. "Tyler, you need to calm down. You are being cruel to your sister." "Cruel? I am being cruel for wanting an apology for something she actually did wrong. Your mother would be disappointed in how you are treating Madison." The words hit me like a physical blow. He had gone there. He had weaponized Mom, the one person who had loved me unconditionally, who had seen me, who had celebrated every single one of my achievements with genuine pride. He was using her memory against me. I stood there unable to speak for a moment. Madison had stopped crying and was watching this exchange with an expression I could not quite read. Dad stared at me, waiting for me to back down like I always did. "Here is what is going to happen," Dad said, his voice cold and authoritative. "You will apologize to Madison for yelling at her and making her cry. Until you do, you are not welcome in this house." I blinked. "You are suspending me from the family until I apologize to her." "For something she did, I am setting boundaries," he said. "Madison made a mistake, but you are making it worse with your attitude. Apologize and we can move past this." Madison had fully stopped crying now. She sat on the couch, arms wrapped around her knees, watching me. There was something in her eyes. Not quite triumph, but close. She knew how this would play out. She had seen it play out this way her entire life. I stood there in that living room, the broken laptop still in my hands, and felt something shift inside me. It was like a lock clicking open, or maybe chains falling away. All this time I had been fighting for something that was never going to be given. I had been trying to earn love from someone who had already decided how to distribute it, and I was not on the receiving end. I thought about my apartment across town, small, quiet mine. I thought about my job, the one I had earned through my own hard work. My friends, the ones I had made myself. The life I had built without any help from this house. And I realized something profound. I did not need this. I did not need his approval. I did not need to keep hoping he would wake up one day and see me as worthy of the same love he gave her. I had been free this whole time. I just had not known it. I stood completely still for about 30 seconds. Neither of them moved. Dad waited for me to cave, to apologize, to smooth everything over like I always did. Madison waited to see if her tears had worked their magic again. Then I looked directly at my father and said very calmly, "All right?" Dad's expression shifted slightly. "All right, what?" "All right, I heard you. You want me to apologize to Madison, to come back into this family." "I understand." His posture relaxed a little. He thought I was giving in. "So you will apologize?" I felt a strange smile cross my face. It was not happy. It was not angry. It was just tired. "No, Dad." I said, "I understand. I understand perfectly now." "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I finally get it. I get exactly where I stand in this family. I get that no matter what I do, no matter how much I achieve, no matter how responsible or independent or successful I am, I will always be less important than Madison. I get that you have already decided who deserves your love and protection, and it is not me. I get all of it now." Tyler, Dad started, but I held up my hand. "I'm going to go upstairs and get my things. Then I am leaving. And you do not have to worry about setting boundaries anymore. I will do it for you." I turned and walked up the stairs. My legs felt steady, which surprised me. I went into my old room and grabbed the broken laptop. I took a few photos from my desk, a watch my mom had given me, that I kept in the drawer, some books. Everything else could stay. It belonged to a version of me that no longer existed. When I came back downstairs, Dad and Madison were both standing in the foyer. Dad looked confused. Madison looked nervous now, like she was finally realizing this was not playing out the way she had expected. I walked past them toward the front door. Dad said my name. I stopped with my hand on the doorknob. "You do not have to worry about setting boundaries anymore," I repeated. "I will do it for you." "Tyler, wait," Dad said. "You are being irrational. Just apologize and we can forget this whole thing." I looked at him one more time. I memorized his face, the lines around his eyes, the gray in his hair, the expression of a man who genuinely believed he was in the right. "Goodbye, Dad," I said quietly. Then I opened the door, walked out, and closed it behind me. I did not slam it. I did not look back through the window. I just walked to my car, got in, and drove away. The entire drive back to my apartment, I waited for the breakdown. I waited for tears, for anger, for regret. But none of it came. Instead, I felt lighter than I had in years. Like I had been carrying a weight I did not even know was there, and I had finally set it down. The first thing I did when I got home was deal with the laptop crisis. I called my company's IT department emergency line and explained the situation. They were understanding. They sent someone to try to extract the data. It took most of Saturday night and all of Sunday, but the tech guy managed to pull the files from the hard drive. I spent Sunday rebuilding my presentation from scratch, incorporating the data we had recovered, and recreating everything else from memory and notes. I did not sleep. I drank about 8 cups of coffee and worked straight through. Monday morning, I gave that presentation running on pure adrenaline and spite. And you know what? It was the best presentation I had ever given. The client signed. My boss was thrilled. I got a bonus and a letter of commendation for my file. The first week after leaving, I blocked Dad and Madison's numbers. I did not want to see their calls or texts. I did not want to be tempted to answer or wonder what they were saying. I just wanted silence so I could think. I started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Patricia Coleman, and she specialized in family trauma. I told her everything. She helped me understand that what I had experienced was a form of emotional neglect, that favoritism in families causes real psychological harm, that it was okay to set boundaries even with family, that choosing myself was not selfish. 6 months passed. I threw myself into work. I took on challenging projects, mentored junior engineers, led team meetings. My manager noticed. She pulled me aside one day and said she was impressed with my growth and leadership. 3 weeks later, I was promoted to lead engineer. It came with a significant raise and my own team. I moved to a better apartment. 2 bedrooms, big windows, a view of the city. I bought real furniture, not just secondhand stuff from college. I hung art on the walls. I made it a home. I joined a running club and made friends outside of work. People who did not know my history, who just knew me as Tyler, the guy who showed up every Saturday for the group run and always brought good coffee. I dated casually. Nothing serious, but it felt good to be around people who wanted to spend time with me. For the first time in my life, I felt peace. Real peace. Not the kind that comes from pretending everything is fine, but the kind that comes from accepting reality and building something better. 9 months after I walked out, I got an email. It was from an address I did not recognize, but when I opened it, I saw it was from Dad. He must have used an old work email or something to get around the block. The subject line was, "Please read." The email was long. He said Madison was in serious financial trouble. She had racked up over $30,000 in credit card debt buying things for her various failed business ventures. She could not pay it back. Dad had been covering her minimum payments, but he could not keep it up. He was going to have to sell the house to cover her debts and his own mounting bills. He also mentioned his health was not good. High blood pressure, stress-related issues. His doctor had warned him he was at risk for a heart attack if he did not make changes. He needed help. Madison was not capable of providing it. She had moved in with some new boyfriend and was barely in contact. The email ended with, "Dad, I know I made mistakes. I need my son. Please call me back." I sat at my kitchen table and read that email 3 times. I waited for the rush of vindication the sense of justice served, but it did not come. I just felt empty and, strangely, still peaceful. I did not respond to the email. Not that day, not that week. I went to therapy and talked about it. Dr. Coleman asked me what I wanted. I said I honestly did not know. She said that was okay, that I did not owe anyone a response, especially not on their timeline. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my office. The receptionist called me and said I had a visitor. When I came out to the lobby, there he was. He looked older. Much older than 9 months should account for. His hair was completely gray now. He had lost weight. He looked tired. We went to a coffee shop around the corner. I bought 2 coffees, and we sat at a table by the window. He did not touch his drink. "Tyler, I am sorry," he said. "I did not realize what I was doing to you all these years." "What changed your mind?" I asked. "When you left, everything fell apart. Madison could not handle anything on her own. Without you there being the responsible one, the stable one, everything just collapsed. I had to face who she really was, and I had to face who I was as a father, and I prompted. I failed you," he said. His voice cracked a little. "I see that now. After your mother died, I was so afraid of losing Madison too. She reminded me so much of your mom. I thought if I just protected her enough, loved her enough, I could keep her safe. But I forgot that you lost your mother too. You were 15 years old and I just expected you to be fine, to be strong. And you were, but you should not have had to be. I nodded slowly. I appreciate you saying that. Can you forgive me? He asked. I took a sip of my coffee. It was too hot and burned my tongue a little. I looked at this man who had raised me but never really seen me. I thought about all those years of trying to earn something he was never going to give. And I thought about the life I had now, the good life, the peaceful life. Dad, I forgive you, I said. I really do. But forgiveness does not mean going back. What do you mean? I mean, I have a life now, a good life, with people who respect me, who value me, who see me. I do not need to fight for scraps of love anymore. I do not need to prove myself worthy of basic care and attention. I have found that elsewhere. I want to change, he said. I want to be better. That is good, I said. Do it for yourself. Maybe do it for Madison if she will let you. But I am not coming back to be your son in the way you want. I will be civil. I will check in sometimes. But I will not be the one you call when Madison needs saving. I will not sacrifice my peace for this family again. He looked like he wanted to argue, but something in my face must have stopped him. He just nodded. I stood up and put my hand on his shoulder. Take care of yourself, Dad. Then I walked out of that coffee shop and went back to work. I did not look back. I did not second guess. I just moved forward. Over the next few months, Dad sent occasional texts. Updates on his health, which was improving. Mentions of Madison, who had apparently moved to Arizona with her boyfriend. I responded politely but briefly. I did not offer help. I did not get drawn back in. I maintained my boundary. A year after I left, I was sitting in my apartment on a Sunday morning. I had started dating someone from the running club, a teacher named Grace. She was kind, stable, and treated me like I mattered. We were taking things slow, but it felt healthy, balanced. I made coffee and stood by the window looking out at the city. The sun was coming up, painting everything gold. I thought about that day I said all right, and walked out. I thought about how terrified I had been underneath the calm, how I had not known if I was making the right choice. But standing there in my own space in the life I had built, I knew I had chosen correctly. Walking away from family is not easy. The guilt tries to pull you back. Society tells you blood is everything. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to let go of people who refuse to see your worth. I learned that I do not owe anyone my peace, not even family. And saying all right to their ultimatum was not giving up. It was choosing myself for the first time in my life. It was recognizing that I deserved better and having the courage to go find it. Dad still sends texts sometimes. I still respond. We have a cordial relationship now. He knows where I stand. Madison and I have not spoken since that day. I heard through Dad that she is trying to get her life together in Arizona. I hope she succeeds. I genuinely do. But her journey is not my responsibility. I spent so many years trying to earn a place in a family that had already decided I did not fit. I wish I could go back and tell younger Tyler that he was enough, that his achievements mattered, that he deserved to be celebrated and supported and loved without conditions. But I cannot go back. I can only move forward. Sometimes the bravest thing you can say is not a grand speech or a dramatic goodbye. Sometimes it is just two quiet words. All right. And then you walk toward the life you deserve. Have you ever had to walk away from family to protect your peace? Or stayed in a situation where you were treated unfairly because you hoped things would change? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to choose yourself when you need to. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember that you deserve people in your life who see your worth. Until next time.